you on the map. This is Ron Costa broadcasting live from the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. And folks, today we're going to talk about an aspect of real estate that not a lot of people talk about. So before we get into this, let's introduce Vicki Hutchmala from the World Token Market. Vicki, how are you today?
Doing fabulous today, Ron. Another excellent day in Vegas. It's getting a little cooler. Of course, that's kind of relative since from 115 to 108 to us is really cool, but it may still be a little too hot for most people. But in any case, it's fabulous in Vegas as always. And we have a different kind of guest, and we're going to talk about a different topic today. So it should be quite interesting. We should get started.
All you need is an air conditioner in Las Vegas, and of course the electricity to power it, or do you? We'll see. But anyway, let's introduce Farrin Pasifakis. She is the head of the commercial division over at Solar. Farrin, how are you doing today?
Hey, Ron, I'm doing great. And you?
Great. I'm so glad that we had a chance to get you on the show. Networking works in this town, right? We were over at a networking event and we met you, and we were like, oh my God, we got to get her on the podcast. Or Vicki especially. We got to get Farrin on the podcast, right?
You bet. Something different.
Yeah. So, before we get into the whole meat of the podcast, Farrin, maybe we can just go over your background a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, Ron. So I have been in business just basically all my life. I've been involved in many different industries worldwide, and I am working with SolUp on the commercial side in renewable energy. With this structure, we have spearheaded something called holistic green initiatives, looking at not just the way that we can throw solar up on your roof, but also ways that we can help your business do and improve your green initiatives and your footprint, decrease that carbon footprint down. With commercial solar, it actually includes a little bit more than basically a different source of energy. We can actually look at different upgrades to your equipment and also a whole building renovations. So you were just speaking with Vicki about that wonderful weather here we have in Vegas. Well, that HVAC system that you have, let's have a look at it too, Ron.
Yeah. No, it costs a lot of money to run air conditioning in this town for sure. But okay, so if you're, let's say, a real estate developer and you want to put up a multifamily thing or a high rise or whatever it is, at what point do you start to consider, like, maybe I should go solar with this project versus, your traditional manner?
Well, Ron, that's a great question. Actually, to me, solar is applicable in every situation. You just have to calculate, do you want to spend that money on electricity and have it basically disappear every month towards a utility company, or do you want to spend the same or less amount of money on something that is actually your asset? And those wonderful investors and property developers that you talked about, they understand the power of building that investment and building something that's real.
So do you put solar paneling or a solar renewable energy system on your commercial building while you're constructing it, or after it's built and it's goes into the it's sold to whoever's going to finally end up owning it? At what point do you decide when to do it? When is it more feasible, and what are the benefits of doing it?
That is an awesome question or observation, Vicki. Well, actually, they are both applicable. So you can design a structure for green energy, solar, in the design and building of a project, or you can do a retrofit, meaning somebody who has a business, who already has a building and wants to use the power of solar to be able to lower their energy costs and build towards an asset. There are many different ways to save money. Just segueing into that with solar absolutely can reduce that operating cost and lower your cost of energy purchase, because your solar system is actually an asset that's going to produce electricity for you, kind of like becoming your own little electric company. In addition to that, you have, of course, the ROI over the lifespan of the panel, because that panel is an asset producing that electricity for you at that specific cost that you can project forward for 25 years, something that you can't really do with your traditional energy bill from your traditional utility. We can't project 25 years into the future that energy cost.
So I can understand doing it. It's a good idea to do it when you're building the building and incorporating. It'd be a lot easier to do it at that point. But if you already have an existing commercial building and you decide that, oh, that sounds good, let me see, and you then add paneling or whatever system to your existing building, then does it become a capital improvement? Do you get any kind of depreciation, or are there any kind of tax, state, or federal incentives that help you to do that after the fact or even before the fact while you're constructing it?
Absolutely. So again, both segues of implementing green initiatives, whether on the design of the building from the beginning or, as you've mentioned, from the retrofit on an existing building, you can still access many different incentives, including the 26% tax credit currently, and that's 26% of the total system cost. There's an accelerated depreciation factor also, and these adding up kind of take off almost 50% or more of the top line cost of your system to be recouped to you in the first year. Again, we are not tax experts, but we have years and years and years of experience, and we can guide you through these things to help you benefit from the solutions and tools out there. There are also other things such as incentives, depending upon what you're getting, that are initiated through the utility or through the municipality. Speaking of, there are things called RECs. RECs are called Renewable Energy Certificates, also known as Renewable Energy Certificates or credits, some people refer to them as. One REC is produced with every 1 megawatt hour of electricity. These can also be capitalized on for your business to generate income and be able to help you reduce that cost of the system too.
Well, how does that work?
Well, when a system produces energy, these systems are carbon-free. So because they're carbon-free sourced, they are actually part of the REC program. And that REC program, again, allows you to register that each one are uniquely numbered, and that unique number actually ties into where this energy is generated, the type of renewable energy it comes from, its date stamp as to when it is generated itself, and that certificate then has a value. That value ranges state to state and can be registered or sold to an entity. And that's been beneficial for especially industries who have the need to show renewable energy association and renewable energy credits that actually will work together to help their industry.
Is the certificate a standalone certificate, or does it attach to the property and increases the equity or the valuation of the property when you go to sell it? Or can you sell it separately?
The certificate is sold separately. So it's another layered factor that goes into the holistic solution of green energy initiatives of companies.
Interesting.
No, that's really what organization facilitates these RECs? It's a government agency.
Yeah, so that's an agency throughout the states that you can register what your system is producing, and then from there that certificate can then be lodged and utilized and sold. It's important to note that these certificates can only be really sold once and generated that way, but they're wonderful utilities and tools that we have in our arsenal to help our customers to benefit from the green initiatives that we have.
Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I wonder how many developers even know about that. Maybe they do. I mean, what do you think? Do you think a lot of them know this, that it's available?
Well, I think some do, some don't. It all depends on what area you're in. For instance, in California, a lot of them might know about it a little bit more just because of the pushes in legislation that have things such as rooftop solar that is kind of implemented in California, that any kind of new build home has to have some sort of solar onto that development. So we have legislation changing and growing every day here in Nevada and across our beautiful country to forward the initiatives and forward the forward thinking towards that way of helping our environment, but also while helping our environment benefit and make sure that our businesses can actually sustain and continue to grow. So our country can be that wonderful, great country that we were established on. Some municipalities
Absolutely.
even have yeah, great, Ron. Some municipalities even have different structures that help with financing, and we can help you navigate all of these things if you're a business who are interested in saving money, helping the environment, and causing your asset to have additional structures attached to it that increase its value, because this is an asset too, and it does increase your property's value.
Yeah, you just brought up a really good point, though, because I think the downside to solar, where people say that maybe they don't want to go with it, is because isn't there a really big upfront cost to get this thing done? Don't they have to spend a lot of money to get solar installed?
Well, on residential side, it's a little bit different, Ron. So basically, there are quite a few programs that they say low or no cost solar, but there's no such thing as a free lunch. So please look into your information before you believe in free. But on the commercial side, there are many tools still growing at the moment to facilitate, but at the moment, there are a couple of ways that are acceptable and traditional at the moment to be able to facilitate the larger bill, such as you can get a traditional loan from the bank, you can get an SBA loan. The SBA actually has different components attached to specifically loaning money to you to improve your green footprint and your green energy. You can actually utilize in certain areas of our beautiful valley out here, have access to something called a CPACE program too. And again, all these structures are known by our organization, and we are the company that holds your hand, your local company that holds your hand. I like to throw that in there too, because there are so many different solar companies out there, so many different green energy programs out there, but they might not be local. SolUp is a wonderful company. It's been in business since 2009. Our CEO and founder, Frank Rieger, he is really passionate about green energy and bringing that to the world at an affordable cost, but also bringing them a specific product that has sustainability too, because his background is in engineering. And when he came into the structure, he evaluated and looked at a lot of products, and he wanted to get that balance between a good product and also affordability. So we work to help that customer, whoever they are, the business, the residential. We also have a wonderful residential division, but help the customer in achieving their green energy goals, whether it's for money situations, because green energy will help you reduce your costs, or whether it's for helping the planet, or both.
Yes. And it's funny how now solar has I guess it's gone pretty much mainstream as per, let's say, 5-10 years ago. We're seeing more and more success stories with solar. I know like big companies, like even McDonald's, I think, has a solar component to it now in some of their buildings. But I mean, do you see that as well when you talk to developers and people in commercial real estate? They automatically just say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm open to solar, where maybe that wasn't the case a couple of years ago.
I do, absolutely, because, again, companies are seeing not only that solar is wonderful because it helps our planet and it's going to, extend the life of the longevity for our children and help that carbon emission and fossil fuel structures to go down, and that whole thing that we talk about when we talk about green energy. But guess what? It also helps the bottom line, and that's where, again, a lot of our corporations and companies are looking, because, we all need to eat, we all need to make money, and our companies and such do care about the planet and do care about the wonderful structures that we have within this world. But if they're not going to be around to eat, then we need to project it forward. So with solar and with green energy programs that the government and that legislation has been looking at and been able to assist and help, and with companies passionate like ours, that is a way that you can actually, again, save money, cause different asset structures, and look forward to the future to manage your utility and your energy consumption.
When a real estate developer develops a commercial building, whether it be a warehouse or, again, whatever it is, and then adds the solar component to it, is there an organization that certifies that building is solar, or do you need that kind of a certification to get all these benefits, let's say the tax benefits that you talked about before?
Okay, so great question, Ron. There's two different issues there that you brought up. So tax credits and other incentives that I talked about before, meaning that 50% or more off the top line of the entire system can be recouped in that first year in the financial structure. That alone, you do not need another certification for. No. But there are other certifications such as LEED and different levels with that, including bronze and platinum and gold, that can be certified onto your building. There were the REC credits that I was talking about before, and many other structures that can certify your building. It all depends upon your goals and where you want to go. So I suggest if you are thinking of solar or thinking to go green in any way, call Solar Up. Call me up directly. It's fine. I'll help you out. We tailor and design that solution to you. We like to sit with you. We like to talk to you about your goals and fill in the tools and the projects, because we have that big toolbox of many different things that can be plugged in to assist you to that goal.
Right. You're anticipating my next question, because it was going to be, well, if I'm considering solar, what do I do? Do I just meet with you with a blank sheet of paper and we start building this thing from scratch, a plan, or how do you start with a client on something like that?
You draw it on the back of a napkin.
Yeah. But let's get back to this economics thing a little bit. I really want to nail this out for our listeners here, our real estate developers, and everybody else who may be interested in solar. Now, obviously, you spend X amount of money on your electric bill per month anyway, and with an upfront cost of solar, it's going to save you down the line, allegedly. I mean, based on what we're talking about today, I think you can make a really strong case for that. But is there a crossover point? I mean, how many years or months or whatever does it take before you see that big spike and saying, hey, I made the right decision going solar, because look at the difference in costs here?
Well, there's a couple of different ways to look at it, Ron, and that's a great question again. So absolutely, you're going to see that return on investment, or you can look at it monthly and see that return on investment. But figures are figures. So when it comes down to it, on the commercial side, you are looking at a larger sum of money, but you have to look over that larger sum of money for your system and the benefits that you have off of that sum of money, and then expand what is left over against the monthly cost that you would normally have from your utility, and compare those two together. When you compare those two together and pretty much most instances, we find that you're saving money rather than, again, just like every developer knows that the power of owning the asset is and leveraging that asset is actually more powerful than utilizing an asset and throwing away the money every month. So the same thing with your utility structure here. So you can absolutely pay your utility bill every month. I'm sure you get an electric bill every month there, Ron, correct?
Oh yeah, I do. It's never fun when you get the envelope.
Exactly. So everybody's going to pay a certain amount of money for access to electricity because we all use it. The thing is, are you going to pay something and just have that reoccurring cost, or are you going to pay that amount or a similar amount of money every month, still get your power utility, but now the money is going towards something that you can own, something you can depreciate, something that you can put on your books, and something that you can recoup from as an asset that increases the value of your property too. The choice is
right.
yours.
Okay.
So
all right.
what
So
kind
okay.
of...
So now I'm hooked on, and now I'm hooked and I want solar. So I call you and I say, Farrin, set me up, and then solar comes over and does the installation or whatever it takes. How long of a process is that?
Absolutely. So yes. So again, on our commercial side, definitely contact me. You're free to contact me via my email or contact me on my cell. My email and cell phone will be in the information attached to this podcast that I've given you and Ron. But if you need it, it's Farrin@solup.com, or you can get me on my cell at 269-357-3028. And from that commercial introduction structure, we take your information. It is very much beneficial for us to have some energy bills. 12 months is ideal, but if you don't have that, or if you're changed buildings, moved into a new building, added new equipment to the building, let us know so that we can accommodate for that too, because every step of the way of your solution, there is a NASAB certified engineer with SolUp. So SolUp uses NASAB certified engineers in every step of the direction, the path. So initial contact, from there, we get your information. It would be ideal to have that utility bill so that we know kind of what we're looking at, because again, with solar, it's not just saying I need a computer or I need a car. It's saying how much energy do you use, and then we build your computer, we build your car to facilitate that journey. So it's a kind of a little bit of a backward thinking when you think of an asset, because assets, you go and you buy a washing machine, or you go and you buy different kinds of equipment to get to a goal. In solar, you're buying production, and the equipment is built to fit that production. So give us that information. We'll schedule a call or a meeting. We'll sit down and we'll talk about your goals, and some tools that you may or may not know are available out there. We'll design a green energy holistic solution suited for you, and from there, sign a contract, and we're stepped out and staged out towards implementation. We coordinate everything from the permits, integration and working with the city for your different plan structures, and working with all of the different rebate structures, giving you the information, again, holding your hand along different avenues and every step of the way towards that goal of installation, switch on, and the happiness of the sun powering your system.
So
wow.
What kind of maintenance is involved?
I didn't tear up all my electric bills then, huh?
Sorry, Ron, I didn't catch that. Go ahead.
I said, you're making me wish I didn't tear up all my electric bills in anger. See, now I got to start all over.
No worries. No worries if you tore them up in anger. We'll go through and sit with you and we'll go through and sit with you and help you draw them back down from NV Energy digitally on your account. So don't worry if you tore them up. Just still call us. We'll still make your solution, and you'll be happy in the end.
All right, Vicki, what was your question before we close this out?
I was just going to say, is there any kind of maintenance or that you have to do, and what kind of maintenance is that, and what's the life expectancy of a system? Do you have to replace it after a period of time, or do you just upgrade it and modify it?
Awesome questions, Vicki, and thank you so much for bringing that up. So systems with us are guaranteed for 20 years in commercial, 20 to 25 years, depending on the product. And that structure has a production guarantee that says what our engineers have went through on your system structure, on your bills, on the different azimuths of your roof, and a lot of different awesome engineering stuff that dictate many different things. And this is why it's a process to build a solution together to fit your goals. And from there is some recommended kind of maintenance, and working with a local partner such as SolUp, we have solutions towards those maintenances too, and we have solutions for those headache-free type of interactions and integrations with our companies too, because we understand our companies are experts in their industry. They're out there, they're doing the best, they're making their industry grow and flourish and spearheading every avenue in it. In our industry, we do the same. And we understand that you don't want to have to become an expert or have to become the monitor of everything that happens in our industry too. So we have solutions that take that headache away from you as a homeowner, as a business, as a person here locally, to free you up to do what you need to do best, which is your business.
And so my one last question is, when you think of solar, you think of panels on a roof. Is there alternative types of systems that don't involve panels, that maybe, like, you know, when you have a Tesla car, you have a battery in the garage? Do you have systems like that are in place of panels that are put outside on the roof?
To answer your question in a word, Vicki, yes, there are always an alternative. But batteries are, to just clarify a little bit, batteries are like little storage boxes that keep electricity. So solar panels are little asset structures that we put in different places that create electricity. So it's the panel, when it interacts with the sun, that's making electricity. The electricity that's made is used in the business or home or wherever it's installed, and the excess is put somewhere. Where you put it is in that little box battery, or we feed it back to the grid through a bidirectional meter called a net meter that we work with NV Energy to install to keep those energy credits for you in a little like energy bank account that can be pulled out at nighttime when the sun is no longer there and your panel is no longer converting the light into that electrical energy.
Oh, okay. So that's where the RECs come, because now you have stored energy on the grid that you can access, that belongs to you, that you can then take with you. Or did I get that wrong?
There is an application, Vicki, yes, of RECs towards the energy that you produce that can be lodged with your utility. Because of legislation, we used to want to have 25% of our energy creation source to be made and sustained from renewable energy, which is carbon-free type of structures that make energy. We have recently passed legislatively to do 50% by the year 2030 to be now sourced from renewable energy, carbon-free. And us as a state in Nevada, we actually have very vast and very good projections and high hopes for solar to be the best carbon-free renewable energy source. And I kind of stress that word renewable because there are other types of carbon-free energy production systems, but they may not be classified as renewable. And that REC that you mentioned, remember, is called a renewable energy certificate. It has to be a renewable type of energy to be eligible for that certificate.
Interesting. Well, Ron, I think I learned a lot more. Yeah, I learned more than I ever knew.
Farrin, one of the reasons why I love doing these podcasts is that every time we do it, I learn something. And today we learned a lot from you. Really good information. I want to thank you again. By the way, we're gonna put all the links and everything we talked about in the show notes. So anybody who's listening to this will be able to get in touch with you just by click or phone, whatever. But I really want to thank you for taking the time out today and talk to us. This was a really informative podcast. Thank you.
Absolutely.
My pleasure, Ron. My pleasure, Vicki.
Yeah.
I never knew.
No doubt. Yeah. And the real estate community is all the better for this podcast, right, Vicki?
Absolutely. And sometimes you do something that's a little bit different than what we normally do, Ron, but this podcast turned out to be a great thing that is full of a lot of information that I now appreciate renewable energy a little more than I did an hour ago.
Same here. Hopefully we can get
Farrin.
on again one of these days. Yeah. So Farrin, thanks again for being a guest on the show. Okay. And Vicki, thanks for co-hosting the show. Appreciate that. And folks, you're listening to the Mappable USA podcast at mappableusa.com. Go to that website, scroll down, you'll see all our syndication sources. Pick the one you like best. Subscribe, and you'll never miss another one of our episodes. If you want to be a guest on the show, like Farrin was today, there's a guest tab there. Fill that out. We'll see what we can do about getting you on the show. And if you like what you heard today, send us an email at info@mappableusa.com, or just leave a comment on whatever page you're listening to this on right now. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. We'll be at you next time with another Mappable USA podcast. Have a great week, everyone.